Hey. What's up, everybody? Eric Oberheim here with Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. We've got another episode of educational webinar, VA, SMA, the whole thing, time. We still haven't come up with a fucking name for this thing, which is really that's on me, people. I truly apologize. I am the live king today, by the way. I just got done doing an hour live with Chuck Toki over on the Top Rep masterclass thing that he does. Chuck's awesome. If you don't know Chuck, look Chuck up as well. But yeah, it is live day for Eric. So thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about how to use virtual assistants inside of your company for marketing purposes. I think this is going to be a really interesting episode today, because we want to keep our salespeople selling. So we need to figure out how to bring them more opportunities so that they can go do the things that they're really fucking good at, which is selling. So we're going to bring on Chris Durall today to talk about that. And actually, I'm going to have Chris tell me how to actually say his last name, because I think I always say it wrong. But before we do that, I want everybody to stick around, watch this quick little commercial from our sponsor, and then we will be right back. New sponsor. If you're serious about getting your time back and scaling your business, then SMA Support Services is your secret weapon. I use SMA for all of our support and admin tasks. Everything from back office management, day-to-day admin, even a call center. Their team frees up my staff to stay focused on high-level, revenue-generating activities. And that, let me tell you, is a fucking game changer. SMA isn't just support. They're a partner that keeps our operations running smooth and efficiently. So if you want to focus on growing your business and leave the support work to the pros, hit up SMA Support Services. All right, we're back. And now I'm going to introduce my guest, Chris with SMA. Love that.
Chris Durall.
Say it again.
Durall.
Yep.
Ready to roll. That's an easy way to
roll.
Ready to roll.
I know. So here's what I do, because I'm a fucking asshole. If I don't know how to say somebody's last name properly, I'll start to say it and then I'll mumble it at the end so that they don't think that I actually said it wrong, but that I'm just a fucking mumbler. And then I can ask later, how was I actually supposed to say it? Because I'm a really bad human.
I've used Google plenty of times to be like, how the fuck do I spell? Like, you see some people's names. There's somebody from like Louisiana, and you're like, I want to make
luck
sure
with that.
If I meet somebody, I'm like, yeah, let me not look like an idiot. I do a good enough job of that myself.
Right.
I don't need to do it on the intro.
Right. Well, Chris, thanks for being here, man. We wanted to switch things up, get some different perspectives today, because we run these every other week. We try to do at least twice a month to educate folks on how to use virtual assistants inside of their organization better, how to utilize their people better, so that the people that they do have boots on the ground, right, inside of their company are doing the things that they need to be doing so that they can, move the fucking needle inside of their company and not getting bogged down with certain tasks that don't need to be executed. I thought that this was really important and that everybody gets to see this and learn from it. Not from like an ad perspective, but like we truly use this time to try and help people. Because even if they're not going to use SMA, which if you're not, you're fucking retarded. But if you're not going to use SMA, that should be on a t-shirt. I'm sure we could get Goldenstein to make that t-shirt. But
Well, we've got
big delegation strategy. The next one is going to say, if you don't use SMA, you're fucking retarded. But if you're using a different, if you have your own VAs or whatever it is, let's learn here how to actually utilize skill sets better so that you can grow your company, right? And so Chris I will tell you this, Chris, you do have an amazing marketing mind. Every time that I've spoken to you, you have always given me little fucking nuggets of what if you do this? And what if you do this? And what if you do this? And they've all been amazing. How many have I done? I'm not sure. Not all of them. I'll tell you that much, because there's so many of them. But you always do. You have really, really good ideas. And so I'm excited today to dig into this because I know I'm going to get some shit out of it that I'll probably steal and start using inside of my business. So today, Chris is going to talk about how to use VAs in your company on the marketing side. So, Chris, where do you want to start?
Well, I think a good place to start, like I remember seeing a video that Dave Carroll, Dope Marketing, where he was talking through what marketing is. And it's like, it's something about like the elephant, you're bringing the circus to town, the elephant takes a dump in the mayor's bushes. And like, if you just do all these different things, like they're all parts of it. But the idea behind like creating this thing to get everybody in the town to come to the mayor's house and see this elephant dumping in the bushes with your circus logo on the back, like that's all marketing. And I think a lot of people confuse marketing with advertising most of the time, and they don't really look at the bigger picture. And so there's a book that like, this is one of those changed the trajectory of what I had thought and like was able to do after reading this book. It was called The One-Page Marketing Plan by Alan Dibb. It's this yellow book, doesn't take long, but it was like an 8.5 by 11. Fill it out as you go in one page where it talks about what is the marketing journey for your clients going through your business. And it starts by like identifying who that person is and really thinking about the emotions that they face going into this journey. And everything you do in your business, like I see so many roofers that I talk to, and what I'm always doing if they come talk to us about VAs, I'm going to look at you just like your client is. And I pull up your website and it's like so-and-so's best roofing contractor, this city. And it's like just talking stuff about them. And it's like, well, if you're an insurance restoration contractor and you're not thinking of it from the perspective of what is this lady that's going to call me thinking like, well, fuck, what do I do? And then it's like, man, I'm in a place of uncertainty, like stress, all these things. And their messaging on the website doesn't speak to them at all. And so when we really start the journey of like thinking through who your client is and start there, write a message that resonates to them, and then think through how you build the process to support them so that once they get through, transacting with you, it leads to more reviews, more referrals, and then lifetime value of that customer. There's other ways to grow that then too. So
yeah. So what are some ideas and some things that people could utilize for that?
So I always tell people it's like, even if you had your own VA or you're starting at the spot where you don't have somebody else and you're like, I need leads, I'm not busy. Okay. First thing you should do, ensure whatever is coming into your business from a lead source, phone calls, texts, emails, whatever, you have a quick response time to them. You don't need necessarily a dedicated team member to that. But if you're busy enough that you are missing some of your phone calls or some of these leads that come in aren't being responded to in under 30 seconds, your chance of getting that lead to convert is so much lower. And it's 5 times higher if you do it in the first minute. And so if we can just focus on, hey, respond to every lead you got, then also make sure anybody who's ever came in doesn't go unresponded. Like just because they called and left you a message and they didn't pick up the first time, you need to be going through and rehashing those calls to those clients. Now, here's where you got to think about this a little more strategically. It's like, okay, what can I do to set myself apart from the other people? And it's not just, hey, checking in, you called me about a roof inspection. If you're going to call, nobody wants to pick up the phone. They might listen to your voicemail. But if you supplement this with, if you're using Company Cam, which pretty much everybody's using Company Cam, put the showcase from Company Cam on your website, send a text to that homeowner saying, hey, I know that you probably have a ton of other people knocking on your door right now. Our team has done this before, and not only done it before, but we've done it for other people in your neighborhood, your area. You can go and see these projects, see the work we've done, and see like all this. That person probably is going to make more of an effort to reach back out to you to set up an appointment versus the guy that just says, hey, I can help you with your roof. And so thinking about what you can do to make it so that if somebody comes to your business, what you have and you present to them on that first, kind of like your website impression, it needs to speak to them and then have something there that starts building trust and confidence in you and sets you apart from everybody else.
And what you're really saying is, how are you going to be different, right? Like, how are you going to separate yourself from other people, right? And being able to have somebody to do those things that nobody wants to do. Dude, for years, I heard about rehash, right? For years, I went to all these things and they're like, you need to rehash. And I'm like, I don't have fucking what? I'm not gonna, what am I gonna sit down on the goddamn phone and dial all fucking day and rehash a list of 500 people? that came through, like some type of, some type of lead gen, whatever. I'm like, I'm not gonna, like, it sounds great in theory, right? But there's no way that I'm gonna do that. Now it's so easy for me. If I say, hey, you know what, let's do a rehash campaign, I literally snap my fingers and I have a goddamn rehash campaign.
Yeah,
right?
and it's multi-level, like multifaceted on the approach to it. Like it's a drip long term versus
Yeah.
you used to struggle to do one follow-up. And that was me too. Like I was in the roofing business for 8 years. And when I started, we were doing, I think Tom was doing like 75 roofs and then a little bit of other stuff, just about $1 million. And then we scaled that up. And but the last year I did it, I think it was like 250 roofs is what I sold. So it's like I was walking just so many roofs. And at some point in this journey, I just ran out of time where I'm like, dude, I just can't do this during these busy days.
Yeah.
It's like in order to just get back to people on time, I would just, instead of even calling them to set up an appointment, measuring their roof, Google Quick Square it, and then boom, here's a rough estimate. Call me once you've checked this out, and then you call me to set up your appointment. Because I was like, I don't know what to do. It's either this or I'm waiting 2 weeks.
Right.
And then we started seeing this thing where everybody said, man, I really love your process. I really love your process. And I was like,
that's not a process. I'm just tired.
I'm like, dude, this is where it's like, if you can find somebody that's lazy, but you can motivate with the right incentives, it's like, oh, that's the deadly combination you need. Because I was like, I did it out of laziness where I'm like, what's the least I could do to try and serve them, where I'm like, at least I'm getting them a number. And if hopefully they came in from a referral, they're going to then say, oh, this is nice. I already was going to call you, but you're already starting here.
And then you accidentally price conditioned them.
Yes. And so like when Roofle came out, that was one I was like, oh my God, this is an answer to my prayers. Cause I literally had a 3-month-old son chilling on the floor. My wife was working in corporate America, and I'm literally just doing all these on Google Maps, and like the opportunity to just give people some quick prices and just show that out there and be like, hey, I knew this is what you wanted. Now call me later. And then we'll start doing more detailed reports. And like we switch it to a bid first strategy, because again, most clients today, like we saw Marcus Sheridan speak at one of these conferences, and he's the they ask you answer guy. And he's got this new book, and he's talking about how most customers want a seller free experience. It's not that they don't want somebody in the process, but they don't want to be sold to.
Right.
And so it's like, how do you go through this in a way that what they want? And any purchasing decision you make, like the way you buy a car online is how you should sell your roofs to your clients. And people will be like, well, I can't do this without a site visit. It's like 100% you can. Because when we think about like, okay, what would I say to this person if I couldn't meet them in person? All right, I could record a video, talk about the shit that we do well, what makes us different, like throw that out to them. And again, it's like, hey, here's my booking link for my calendar to set up time that works. And I'm going to approach this in a different way, because everybody else, it's the same stuff that they're going to tell them, oh, we do it this way. It's like you and everybody else.
Right. And so that's the other thing that we do now. And this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with how we utilize our VAs, but like when you're presenting a proposal, I don't let anybody in my business email a proposal to anybody, right? Like you have to sit down with them. If you can't get a virtual 15-minute call to present to them though, then everybody has to record a Loom.
Yep.
And go through the proposal with them. Right. And we just started doing this recently, and I'm doing it on all commercial projects that I look at. And I have gotten, and you know this as well, you never get anybody that reaches back out and says, dude, that was great. Thank you for sending that. Right. Like they usually just ignore you, or they say, hey, yeah, let's do the job. Right. I sent out like my first 10 videos with my proposal, and I got emails back that were like, thank you. Like I had one guy that didn't use us because I was like 10 grand higher than somebody else. Right. Which isn't that much, right, on a, $300,000 job, but like literally came back and was like, you're too high, but we're going to use our other vendor on this project. But we loved your explanation on everything and showed us everything. And so like, we want to use you on the next one. So nobody ever gives you that good feedback, so that was just really powerful. So I'm just glad you brought that up.
Well, I was thinking about like what we changed in our process too along the way, where I kind of was like latching onto the idea of like, oh, I can sell myself ahead of this and knock out. I know what you're going to ask me. I know what stuff you probably want to know.
Right.
And we shot like 2 quick YouTube videos we put on YouTube, put on the website, where it was like the story, the process, and then the problems we solve during a job. Where I walked around a house and I was just like, hey, film me. And I'm just going to tell you as if you were my homeowner of like, see this fascia board I'm ripping off. We rip this off now so we can get the drip edge on properly. Because if we don't do this with your gutters, it's going to fuck it all up later. Pointing out the chimney, why we rebuilt this now. And it's like, all I'm doing is positioning the stuff I could hopefully sell to them.
Yep.
But positioning it in a way that was, here's a solution I provide that I'm the competent one to fix it. And I'm showing you me doing it right now.
Right.
And so we sequenced these 3 videos in that like lead contact form where they're going to get a response of one of these videos along the way, and then steer them back to the website too during the nurture sequence of like, hey, before the visit, did you check out our project, map it? We've got the pins of all the roofs we did, the pictures, the reviews, like go here. And then I'd show up. They've already seen a price. They've already seen hopefully some proof, some trust factors. And then it's just like, I'd show up and I'd literally knock on their door and be like, hey, I'm like, what's up? It's Chris with Tresnick Roofing. I was like, are you as excited to talk about shingles as I am?
Right.
And people are like, oh, fuck. Like, here we go again. This is going to be a 4-hour. And I'm like, no, I'm just messing with you. Like, what do you want to talk about? Like, I sent you as much as possible so that hopefully you could talk about this in your own time. And like, do you all only just care about the color? Let's start there. Did you see my map? Did you see that text? Let's go back to my website.
Right.
And so that sales pitch became something where it's like truly the educational, where learning to just ask them that question of what do you care about? Like, I do this for a living and I'm not that excited by it. So I can only imagine how unexcited you are at the idea of a new roof. What can I do to make this process better for you?
Yeah.
And then they just like, well, here's it all.
Right. They answer everything that you need to know. So if you're using SMA in your organization, we're obviously we're talking about rehash. We're talking about a speed to lead. Because that was the other thing I always remember. I don't do it, but I know that there's some people that like fuck around with Angie's List and all these. I'll call them fucking bullshit lead gen things that I would never do. But there are a lot of people that do using them, are successful utilizing them. And I remember always hearing, if you're going to get those jobs, you have to respond in a certain amount of time to be able to be the first person to be able to do that. And I was like, how is that even, that's not even conceivable to be able to do that. And then when I first started working with SMA, and I remember Mary fucking started showing me these numbers, and she's like, we can respond in 13 seconds and blah, blah. I'm like, the fuck do you mean 13 seconds? Like, you're out of your goddamn mind. You can't do that. She's like, no, we can. And this is how we do it. And so like anytime a roofal lead comes in or a whatever, any type of lead that comes in, we're immediately on that. We're not waiting for the office girl to like eventually get to it, right? Because they're doing 97 other things. They're not just sitting there waiting for the thing to go ding, right? Like, got to jump on it. So like, if you don't have a team that's dedicated to watching those things, you're just throwing money in the toilet.
Yeah. And it goes back to like, what does that customer want? That customer expects an Amazon type shopping experience nowadays. And it's funny because car dealers were like, we can't sell online. And it's like, who you guys sound like roofers today. And now it's like, yeah, you can. There's a lot of stuff you can take out of this to just speed it up.
Well, and so just real quick, and I know that there's people thinking this, and especially in whether it's retail or it's insurance, right? We all understand, and I understand that there are caveats to all of these things, right? There's, oh shit, I can't bid a skylight, right? Like in an instant quote, I can't bid, maybe, right? But there's certain things you can't tell if there's bad decking, right?
Correct.
Like you can't. There's certain things like you can't tell if
it's position.
Right.
If this were to occur, and when it's like, listen, as somebody who has walked thousands of roofs a year, when I do walk a roof, these are probably the 5 things that are going to influence your quote. 2 layers of shingles, flat roofing that's covered by trees, skylights that are custom, intake ventilation and stuff that we got to add. And like, we would just build this into, at the time we were using Sumo Quote, but whatever you're using, like build that in there, put these as an options list. So it's like every job, if we come out and we haven't done a site visit and I send you a bid, if I redeck your whole roof, here's my price for all new decking.
So, now that we're talking about it, and we do have access to the people at Roofle pretty well, what would really be handy is if when somebody gets their instant quote, if I could have a little video embedded next to it explaining that.
Do we want to screen share right now and I'll walk you through where you plug that video in at the end and like what my wife runs a roofing
Can you
business.
do that?
Yeah. So right at the sequence of after they've submitted request this thing and it
Yeah.
says, oh, we sent you the stuff, you can pop a video and upload it in there.
Why didn't nobody tell me that?
Because this is just one of the other ones I had on my list for you, I guess.
Oh, all right. Well, I mean, because like that's to me, that's genius because then because now all of a sudden they get to see me as well, right? But then it's not them because what I was always afraid of is like, yeah, you can put all the disclaimers you want in writing, but like everybody doesn't read them and they don't understand them.
Yep.
So if I can explain the disclaimer and the why it's there, then I can get everybody virtually to do what you're doing right now and fucking nod while they're watching it, right? Because now all of a sudden they're like, oh, yeah, well, that makes sense. I understand what Eric's saying now.
And even better, they've probably had somebody else along the way that was out there first and told them a bunch of this stuff where they're like, I don't even need to hear this all again. I've had people where they'd be like, hey, thank you for the bid. I know you're coming out in 2 days. Just so you know, the last guy that was here, we have 2 layers. He said at least half the roof is going to need to be replaced or it all needs to be new decking. Like, can you confirm that when you do your inspection?
Right.
I don't even need to meet with you.
Right.
And it's like, we've positioned ourselves in a spot where it's like, going back to you have a tool available in company cam where it's like selfie mode video. What's up, Eric, the homeowner? Hey, I'm walking on your roof. You can see as I'm stepping here, like, check this out. I'll send you some more shit later, blah, 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 blah. And back to, hey, how do we bring VAs into all this mix? All of these extra touch points where you're like, man, that's so much work for me to do all this. It's like, no, you don't do it. You take these things off of your plate. You follow a process. You make sure your team does these 2 or 3 things on every job. Like, we don't have enough stuff for our social medias. Like, okay, well, do you guys ever do a roof inspection with problems that you see that you get to educate a homeowner on? Oh yeah, every day we take those pictures and then we send it to them in a quote. Okay, let's have your VA take all the repair estimates you've sent, talk about this, and then build some posts for you on your schedule and like put them on your social media or create an FAQ list that then we can turn into something else that, you know, we're going to use as a re-engagement campaign to reach back out to your homeowners of, let's take these 3 repair videos and send them back to every person we send a repair bid to on a, 3 drip sequence. And for people that are like, well, I don't have the automations and the softwares and all this, it's like, this is where the people come in. Just make them do it. And if you have a team that can do it locally, you do it. If you can do it yourself, do it. But if you're probably like most salespeople, me included, you're not doing your own follow-ups, or you do it once and then you're like, I'm off to the next thing. And it's like, oh, they hurt my feelings. They didn't respond back. And I was like, oh, I just want new leads. And so it's like, how do we take that out of your plate, give it to a team member who is like, I need to call 800 people, game on, baby. And it's like, all right, all I want you to do is just call these people. And I was like, all right, a week later, it's like, now what do you want me to do? I called 800 of them. We were able to get, 4% that wanted to set up site appointments. We got those booked. Like, these are the things that instead of going out to hunt for new leads, like, don't treat your leads like you treat your materials. If you're like, hey, I've got 10 linear feet of ridge cap, I better take that back to the office. And people are like, I called them once. It didn't respond. I'm like, yeah, and you paid that on Google? I was like, what's your cost per appointment on Google? And you're like, I don't know. And you're like, okay, well, here's another thing your VAs can do. If you're spending a bunch of money, figure out what your cost is. And that way, you know, are these appointments I should even be taking because they're not converting, or we're just hemorrhaging cash to get them.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell a story real quick. So, hey, what's up, Ty? What's up, Noah? Love seeing you guys here. You can see comments if you click that little comment button up top, Chris. But anyway, so I want to tell a story about that. So we have our call center team that does all of our rehash and reaches out and does cold calls and all kinds of stuff. And they had gotten us a lead on an apartment complex down in Houston. And we went out there, we inspected it, we put a report together, we presented it to them. And then my rep followed up probably 3 or 4 times, like genuinely followed up, but just didn't get any, what's up, Jason, but just didn't get any traction with them responding, because we all know, like with property management groups, like you're waiting for the regional to see it, right? Like you're waiting for the regional guy or gal to see that before, like, because the local person doesn't do shit, right? Like the answer is always like, that's a great idea. And then you never hear from them again because they got to get information from the regional. So my guy just after 4 times and didn't hear back, he's like, okay, well, they're not interested. They're not going to do anything. And like 3 months went by, and all of a sudden I get a text message that says, hey, we've got a presentation to do on Friday with this apartment complex. I'm like, what? Like, what apartment complex? And they're like, the one that we bid like 4 months ago. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, how did you get them? How did you get them on the phone? And they're like, I don't know, fucking SMA team fucking got them back on the phone. And I went back and I looked at it, and it's like, if they do the whole thing, which I'm sure they won't, but like if they do the whole thing, it's a $1.5 million deal, right? Like, even if they do a repair for 100 grand, cool, like
Right.
that's amazing. And so it was like, I didn't even know that it was working behind the scenes. And all of a sudden we had a Zoom meeting set up for this huge presentation on Friday, just because of the systems and the processes that we put in place on the back end with our call team.
Well, this is something you brought up, that it's like strategically how you can use a VA to help offload some of the stuff you don't like doing for recording a Loom video. If you're pitching to HOAs, property managers, where multi decisions, different locations, put this in a format. Hey, check this out. 90 seconds of all the stuff that you really need to know, so that when you share this, everybody else can see it. And in Loom, you put the little description. Here's our inspection summary. So when they flip this around, it's like everybody hears the pitch from Eric. And if you're like me, and most of these owners I talk to, they're like, dude, I hate creating content. I'm bad at it. And it's like, yeah, you need practice. Just do it. Like, I now have my VA, Christelle. When I'll get done doing Loom videos, if somebody misses a meeting with me, I'm like, hey, I know you couldn't make it. It gets busy. Here's the shit. But if I stumble through some stuff, I just give it to her. She edits it, clips it, sends it down, writes an email for me, and fires it off. So now I can go through and do like batch Loom videos and just sit and talk. And it's like, well, reset, like whatever, fuck it. I don't care. She's going to chop them up so it looks pretty. And then now I'm off to the next one. And I can just stay in that zone where I'm not getting interrupted and pulled into something else, or like I got to edit it and then jump back in and feel bad about how stupid I sound on camera. And it's like, nope, I sound perfect on every Loom video because she's there for me to edit it. And
you don't realize how much stuff you can offload until you actually start it, because I think that the scariest part for everybody is like, I don't have enough stuff to give to somebody. It's like, the fuck you don't. You just don't understand what it is yet, because you haven't started learning the delegation process, and doing an actual time audit, right? Like stealing the time audit chart from Dan Martell and actually going through that so that you can figure out how to start offloading stuff. I mean, here, perfect example. If you look up at the highlight, if you look up at the comments, or it says Eric Obremp commented highlight and followers, that's not me. I didn't do that because I can't post on here inside of StreamYard, right? I didn't even ask Maria to do that. She just knew that I was going live and knew that I wanted it to be shared in groups. If you didn't share it in groups, Maria, share it in groups. But she knows that I wanted it shared in groups, and she knows that I want people tagged so that people watch this shit, right? And I looked up there, I'm like, oh, Maria's watching. She's helping. Like, it's just, it's having that person, whether it's the person for you or it's a person for your team, so that they can go do the things that they need to do better. And that's why I was excited about this marketing concept to talk about, because our sales guys need to sell. And we get so caught up in wanting them to go knock 8,000 doors, right? And we're trying to teach them a skill set that they may or may not have, right? When I would rather have them be able to close and have effort. So that's why I make my guys go out. I make them go out and self-promote and put out door hangers and all that kind of stuff. But if they're not comfortable enough knocking doors, well, let's make sure that we are bringing in the leads that we need to bring in, right? Along with the self-promotion, so that they can focus on the closing, so that we can all fucking make money.
Yeah. And there's tons of things too that it's like you lose focus on and you don't do, and it's costing you money in your business. And like I see Ty posted on there, like, yep, saving them some money on checking their payables. And like, let's say you're a roofer out there who's buying from multiple branches and you're supposed to get pricing that's, the same across all of them. Is somebody going back in to check your credit memos and make sure all those actually got applied? Who handles returns, accounting for those little things that add up. And, on a larger project or bigger orders, like think of, especially with all this, like, oh, the tariffs, whatever, like you're going to miss something. And if somebody's not checking it, I guarantee you the suppliers don't care if they overbill you a little bit. And so like we can find you money there. We can find you money a lot of times is like that digging in that past pile of leads. And it's like, that's where you find your own money. Go back and look at that stuff, double check things and revisit things that oftentimes it's like, this is $10 an hour task stuff. I can't find people that'll do it and I don't have the time for. So let us find you that thing to focus on that. And so if there's people, I think like Adam's always one where I'm like, I don't know, I'm more of a working to like live. And it's like my work week is set around that perfect work week.
Yeah.
And I go over that every calendar, like with people I talked to, and I'm like, hey, what is the green zone stuff that if we're going to fill up your schedule with just those green zone activities from your time and energy audit, like what is that? Maybe it's networking, maybe it's marketing or referral generating. And so like, what could we do to help you support that goal? And so maybe it's, I work well with realtors. Okay, great. Let's do an outbound campaign where we're calling these, setting up meetings for your sales guys that are slow to go meet them or whoever that is a good fit, as well as like other avenues to support. Like, hey, here's a customer. We got a good referral once. We should investigate more of these. Great. Let's develop a strategy and go after it. But I think it's helpful for a lot of people to remember, just focus on one thing, develop a plan and execute it. But I think it's tough to execute and develop and run a business at the same time.
Yeah. And we just spent the last 2 weeks role playing and writing scripts for our team to call insurance agents. And not a lot of people do a really good job at that. But if you actually invest the time into your team and coaching them, I've spent a few hours because I enjoy it and I love coaching as well. Right. I mean, it's why I have CCM and, I have all these other things that I do, but like, I love getting on these calls and like, I'll get on the call with my call center team and I will make them role play. And then I will fucking beat their ass up with how they're doing. Right. Like I don't hold back. I'm like, that was fucking garbage. That was garbage. You did really well, change this. And now we're going to rewrite this. And now you're going to go practice for a couple of days. And then you're going to come back and we're going to do it again. Right. And we have like dialed it in now where we're releasing them to the world and they're going after to just start setting 15-minute Zoom meetings with my sales guys to be able to go sign up more insurance agents. Because as an example, insurance or sales reps do not have the capacity in general to play a long game. They do not understand the concept of time, right? And how time turns into money if you nurture that. If you plant seeds, you're going to grow a farm, right? They don't understand that. They just want to go punch a fucking kangaroo and eat the kangaroo, right? Like that's what they want to do right fucking now, go get their commission and move on, right? But as a business owner, like we know that the longevity of the business is built on the relationships that we build. So since I know that I cannot force square peg round hole and make my sales reps understand the vision of going and creating these relationships, because they're taking time away from going out and finding a right now job, right? But if I can put them into a meeting where they're pitching somebody that can lead into a relationship, they'll take that all day, right? So if I take off the cold part of it and put them into the room to close, now they're excited again because they see the business that can come from it.
Let me put on my ready to roll consulting marketing hat for a second. So when you guys are calling those insurance agents, what's the call to action of why they set this up?
Do you want to hear my pitch? Do I have to tell my pitch to everybody that I think
No, just give me like a general idea. Like, it's like, hey, because
I'll tell you. Yeah. I'll tell you. Fuck it. Nobody will do it. Everybody listens to shit and they're fucking lazy and they don't fucking do anything anyway.
Are you worried about everybody in Omaha stealing this?
I give a fuck. No. So literally, the way that I coached them to do it is that they answer the phone and they go, hey, this is Dom with D&M Roofing. I'm going to be really, really fast here. Do you have somebody that you already send all of your leads to, like for a roofing company? And they're like, oh yeah, we have somebody that we work with. Cool. So we just already overcame that objection, right? Already overcame the objection. They're like, yeah, I do. I send my leads to so-and-so. That's awesome. I totally understand that. Most people already do have somebody that they send them to. I got just like 2 quick questions that I wanted to ask you, and then I'll get you off the phone. The first one is do they send you business as well? Like, do they refer business back to you? And be like, oh yeah, well, of course they do. They send business back to us. Great. That's awesome. They should do that. How do they track it? What do you mean track it? Oh, well, we track everything that we send to people because we want them to know that we're like holding up our end of the bargain. So we make sure that we track internally how many, referrals that we send to somebody because we think that that's important to you. And so if it's important to you, it's important to us. So anyway, that's just something we do. The second thing is I wanted to ask you is the roofer that you use, have you ever had clients call you and ask you or tell you that it's really hard for them to get a quote from a roofing contractor? Yeah, all the time. They're like, yeah, they just want to work for insurance proceeds and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I totally understand that. Have they ever given you a tool to be able to like get a quote like immediately and not even have to call somebody? I have no idea what you're talking about. Cool. Well, that is something that we do. You can actually go on our website. We can send you a link. You go right to our portal and you can get a quote right away. Our team member can actually show you how to do that and how to help your client do that. Is that something you think would be beneficial for your client? Well, yeah, I mean, I guess it would. Awesome. Tomorrow between 1 and 4, we've got openings to have a 15-minute Zoom call. So you don't even have to leave your office and we'll just set it up right here on Zoom. It's because here's the thing. This isn't what I do for a living. This is what they do for a living. So like if we could just set them up on a 15-minute Zoom so they could explain it better, and then maybe we can figure out a way that we can actually assist you and make your life a lot easier for you and your clients.
And you're approaching it in a way that it's like, I'm solving a problem for you and we are both solving an ideal customer, because at the end of the day, if they can have that thing where they solve a problem, it's like, dude, I look good because of D&M roofing.
Yep.
Like it's that
Yep.
simple.
Same thing with good. Is my pitch good that I came up with?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is me being a noob in the insurance world since I was all retail, but
Right.
is there something of value to an insurance agent if you did an inspection? Like, hey, you write a new policy, feel free to send us those homeowners information. We'll go do an exterior evaluation and just see if there's anything that you should be aware of for them to address before the company sends a letter to them saying, hey, you need a new roof in 6 months.
More so on the commercial side, because I'm pitching that really hard on the commercial. To do a lunch and learn for their whole sales team on a broker team. The residential side, it's probably a little bit different, right? Because all they really care about is they ask the homeowner, how old's your roof? And if it's over 10 years, right, like then they have an issue. But like that's our other pitch that we're doing now is, look, we know that everybody is switching policies now. And if your roof's over 10 years old, they're switching you not only to a 2% deductible, but an ACV policy as well. So you don't actually have insurance on your roof for wind and hail. So you need to have a conversation with your client to be like, they need a budget for what this is going to cost to be able to replace their roof, because you're not going to pay for it, right? Like they need to learn that it's going to be their responsibility to take care of their own home. So they need to figure out what that budget is going to be for their home. And if they don't have it right now, we can give them payment terms up to 20 years so that they can do it now. You can give them a lower rate. We'll put a class 4 shingle on there for you so that you can lower the rate. And now they actually have an insurance policy. So if something happens, you are actually going to cover them.
Sounds like there is just a lot of documentation and headache along that process then too, just to keep track of all that information.
For who?
For the roofer when they're getting involved. Like,
yes and no. Like, but if you know what you're doing, it's easy, right? Like if you know what you're doing, and again, back to your point in the very beginning, if you have a fucking process, it's not hard, right? If you have a process and everybody knows what they're supposed to do, it's super fucking easy, right? But if you don't, and you're trying to navigate all of these different things, then it's kind of fucking hard, right? Because then you have to have this one person that knows everything, i.e. me, right? Like that has to answer everything. But if I can compartmentalize and make sure that these people know this, these people know this, these people know this, now all of a sudden I don't have to be doing everything. I can step back and do fucking podcasts with Chris.
Yeah, which that's the stuff you enjoy doing, even though I feel like say you're not a people person. You like are definitely a people person.
To be clear, just for people watching, it's not that I'm not a people person. I'm not a lot of people person.
Yeah.
Right. Like I love
the right
people
person.
I love people individually. I hate people in groups.
That's Adam too. And that's
yes.
Like, well, this is a great point to bring up. It's like my wife, who now runs a roofing business, and now I'm working with Adam, where she was like, dude, Adam and me are so similar, where it's like, I fucking hate people. I don't want to talk. And it's like, you are the guy that likes to do these things.
Right.
And my weakness is always like the accountability of all the shit I'm supposed to do besides just go spread good ideas. It's like, oh yeah, you actually got to follow up and close that and get that contract over the line. It's like, oh shit, yeah, that's right.
Right. So, but that's me. I have great ideas. I just don't execute them. I don't execute any of them. I have to have somebody execute them or I'm fucked. Like I couldn't be more of a visionary after reading about what all of that is, right? Like I could never be a trim carpenter, right? Like I could never be a finish carpenter because nothing would get fucking done. I could slap some plywood up and be like, looks good to me, fellas. Like close her up. You know, like I could never be a goddamn finish carpenter.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think it's like all the stuff that like I enjoyed doing in the roofing business. It was like meeting people and then talking to people to uncover. It's like, all right, who else am I going to get from you to get another job? And it's like, oh, the conversation's done. I know you're getting it. Like you're going to go with us and have this project. And it's like, how do I uncover, you know, before I leave, like, what do you think? Did I do a good job? Did I help you answer questions? Awesome. Anybody else, you know, and like asking for those referrals was one that once somebody told me to literally just ask that freaking question. Like you as an owner need to be out asking that question if it's just you or your extra team members, making sure somebody there in that process to close the loop at the end of the job, make sure they're happy. Like this isn't just an estimate side. This is more of the back end too of like, hey, what could we have done in position at the beginning of, hey, we're going to shoot for a 5-star experience. And the only thing I care about at the end is a 5-star review. Getting paid is somebody else in my team's problem. So at any point during this process, if there's something that pops up that keeps us from getting that 5-star review, you don't call me. Well, you can call me because my virtual assistant, Christelle, monitors my phone line. She can see my voicemails. But if you just call the office, you're going to talk right to her. And she knows probably 90% of the questions you might ask me. And the ones she doesn't, she'll call me when I'm between appointments and get that from me and call you back faster than I can. And we position this at the beginning where it's like, in order for us to give you a 5-star journey, the biggest part and piece that often fails and causes that drop is communication. Something somewhere got fucked up in the line of communication and a customer got grumpy. And so it's like making sure that there's something in a loop to always be there and somebody is closing that communication line with them and explain that to them. And you don't need it to be you because somebody else out there is doing the same thing.
Yeah, you don't have to. Chris, this has been awesome. This is the longest one we've ever done. So
yeah, I'm not known for brevity. So
no, that's okay. That's okay. Folks. And I always try to just keep people engaged, right? Like, so I always try to keep around 30 minutes, but like this was worth it. Like this was all really good information.
The user engagement's going to drop off.
Look, it's up now. Yeah. But no, I wanted to say thank you. Like, thank you for spending the time. Thank you to SMA. If you need to know more about how to delegate. You need to, and the cool thing is that Chris and Adam both are like an absolute fucking wealth of knowledge, and they will sit on the phone with you to have a conversation to be able to explain to you how you could or couldn't utilize SMA inside of your organization, because they'll tell you honestly, like, you know what, you're not fucking ready, right? You might not be ready to be able to use SMA today, right? But if you are, they're going to explain to you how you could. Let's find out where the holes are in your boat so that we can plug those holes in your boat, right? I have done so many different things inside of my organization over the last 20 years. Things that I've tried out, didn't fucking work. I threw money at, nothing fucking worked. Like just shit. And I will say in the last 20 years, this has been the best investment that I have made inside of my company, is bringing in people and bringing in the team at SMA to be able to assist me to grow the organization. And then the byproduct and cool part of it was that I got to make some really cool friends in the process. So that's a fucking win-win for me. But if you don't know about SMA and you need to know more, you need to have some VAs inside of your organization. You need to have them managed, and they need to not be managed by you, because that's fucking stupid. Because why would you make another goddamn job for yourself by hiring other people to fucking manage them? So the other reason why I use SMA. So thank you, SMA. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back in a couple of weeks and do another one of these. Maybe we'll get a roundtable going and get a couple of other people on. We were talking about maybe getting some current clients of SMA to come in and talk about how they utilize things, and have you or Adam here to kind of help navigate that, conversation as well. So, Chris, Thank you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks again, man. Thanks for having
Yeah.
us. We'll see you
Thank
soon.
you.